I think of something that we love, boy, do we increase our vibration. Something will always come up every day where I'll direct some loving energy that way, often using the level one, where you're just directing it out of your hands.
I've had
Yes.
a couple students of yours and they
Oh,
come
good,
like
good.
right off your workshop and they're like, I just took the workshop with Asha and now I want to do it again. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I got a couple of them in a row and I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, I don't think I've ever spoken to you.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
anyway,
That's nice.
yeah,
I'm glad
welcome,
that they're
Asha. It's so
continuing.
great to have you on Quantum Conversations and we can talk about quantum touch. And I would love to know, how did you get started with quantum touch?
Well, it was about 5.5, 6 years ago in the middle of COVID. And at that time, my husband got sick.
Hmm.
He came down with a pretty severe case of emphysema. We approached it with Chinese herbs with the Wei Institute, and really that was fantastic. But during that time, a friend told me about quantum touch, and I began looking at the books, reading them, and taking Richard Gordon's workshop, the one that's online. The next thing you know, I was studying to become a practitioner and also working on my husband.
That's
So that's how I got
incredible.
started. Yeah.
Yeah, and you said that one of the true joys of quantum touch is using it in your own life. Can you give examples of that?
Yes. Yes, I've found that over the years it's become a part of my daily life.
Mhm.
Something will always come up every day where I'll direct some loving energy that way, often using the level one, where
Hmm.
you're just
Hmm.
directing it out of your hands and
Hmm.
sweeping up your body.
Hmm.
Uh, I might, if I, for example, if I bump myself immediately, I will do quantum touch there. If you get a bruise at all, it'll be a minor one, but for the most part, it will stop a bruise from even happening. I mean, that whole idea that you can give love to something that you just injured yourself is so
Yeah.
fascinating because the injury could be subconscious and kind of like a little act of self-hate. And
Yeah.
then you remedy it with this loving energy, and the consequence is that you sort of nullify it.
Yeah.
That comes up. Mhm.
Yeah. I think when I first started doing quantum touch, I became aware of where I was placing my hands. And I would watch people. I would watch where other people place their hands, or even like I know some people, they start having a difficult conversation and they just have their hand on their chest just as they're
Yes.
speaking. And then I've noticed that I start doing that, or even just, we like to call it self-soothing. But I think it just points to, we innately know that we can deliver this energy to ourselves through our hands or to our loved ones.
Yes, and ability, as you mentioned, is innate, and yet so many people don't know how to do it,
Yeah.
which is where quantum touch comes in. Such a teachable
Hmm.
series of modalities, and Richard Gordon has really developed something that's transferable,
Hmm.
so we can share with people how to do this, how to work on yourself, how to work on others around you. It's quite
Hmm.
amazing.
Yeah, I like that he took something intuitive that is our true nature and he just put it into a framework so that we can convey the ease at which we can do this and access life force energy. Because I know for myself, when I took the first workshop, I mean, I walked into the workshop proclaiming that I had no experience with energy healing and I had no idea what this was or what I was getting into. And then in the first 2 hours, when we start to learn how to run life force energy through our body, I was like, oh, I know this feeling. This is when I held my baby skin to skin. This was a
Yeah.
feeling of, that overwhelming love. I'm like, I felt this before. Oh, okay. So this isn't something new or something outside of me that I have to figure out. It's already inside. And I thought that was really cool. And then it's funny, I could look back on my life and I could see all of the ways in which energy modalities were already present in my life. I just didn't recognize it.
Yes, yes. And you mentioned earlier, it's about awareness,
Hmm.
awareness of what's available for us to use, and awareness of energy around us, awareness of how we can help in a situation, whereas before we didn't know how to do that.
Hmm.
Both my parents have passed on now,
Hmm.
and they passed on before I knew energy healing. And I wish that I could have worked with them more when they were in
Mm,
their old age. I had the joy of getting a new cat recently,
mhm,
and about two cats, a brother and a sister, and one of them was showing difficulties jumping up onto a small, even stool or chair.
mm,
And so I realized something was going on around the hips. And I was able to use quantum touch method of aligning the hips,
mm,
together with sending energy to the joints. And as we know, as energy
mhm,
workers, babies and kittens and puppies and all are very malleable at that point.
mhm,
And so within about maybe 3 days, 4 days, she was jumping just fine.
mhm,
And she, by the way, is a breed that has trouble with the hips. It's a
mm,
very common breed, but they have trouble with hips right about age 1. So, I
mhm,
mean, the joy of being able to help a creature like that you love, it's so
mhm,
sweet. It just, I'm so thankful for
mhm.
quantum touch, just because we feel helpless in those moments
Yeah,
usually.
yeah,
And I did take her to the vet to make sure it wasn't worms or something that needed to be
yeah,
worked with medically, but they couldn't find any problems.
yeah,
All we knew was she couldn't jump before, and then after doing quantum touch for a few days,
yeah,
she's jumping just fine.
yeah. Well, and I think what you said is something really interesting. Like, if we feel helpless in a situation, and there's so many times when we think that we have to do something, but that's the beauty of quantum touch is you understand how to run the energy, and it's not about doing, it's about being. And you get to be
Yeah.
present and you get to witness what is happening. And that is beautiful. And the joy you feel witnessing someone going through what they're going through is so beautiful.
Yes,
Yeah.
and today it just seems that more than ever, people need this. It's kind of like a self-sovereignty where you can
Yeah.
work on your own self and work on those around you. Is so empowering. And
Yeah.
people need it more than ever. We have,
Yeah.
in the United States, we have problems with health insurance and people accessing doctors quickly.
Hmm.
So they need immediate relief in some
Hmm.
cases. And then we have people who are so anxious, and I'm sure you've encountered this too.
Hmm.
I do a News for the Soul radio broadcast every
Hmm.
2 weeks. The letters and things that come in and the questions that come in, people really want help with anxiety. And then here
Hmm.
comes quantum touch, just running the energies alone
Hmm.
calms you down as though you were meditating, with that
Hmm.
steady breathing.
Hmm.
Then, as
Hmm.
we know, you can put your hands on your solar plexus or your heart
Hmm.
area. And when I teach the energy boost, which is sort of like a smaller version of what we would teach in level
Hmm.
1 over radio, which Richard Gordon encourages when we're doing lectures,
Hmm.
people just really, even the host herself, the producer, when we did quantum touch the first time over radio, the energy boost, she was able to self-heal a knee problem.
Hmm.
She'd been using crutches and was about
Wow.
to have surgery. Nope, didn't need it.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
always incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I never tire of hearing the stories. I mean, I expect them because you're used to it. You know the beauty, but the way in which sometimes people experience miracles is incredible. You talk about when you get to the part of the workshop where we start to run energy into each other's hips, watching your students light up. Can you explain that
Yeah.
experience?
Yes, it's one of the most amazing things about quantum touch is that we can run energy through our bodies and out our hands with loving intention, and we can help people to shift their hips. It's the
Mhm.
most amazing thing. And to teach it in a class is really fun because the students, as you know, they get
Mhm.
it quickly and they're watching. We're doing this often over Zoom because
Mhm.
we can work remotely.
Mhm.
They're watching each other kind of swaying, and
Mhm.
involuntarily the hips or the shoulders are moving, and then the
Mhm.
person is describing a difference. So it's visible.
Yeah,
We can see visibly what our loving intention can do. It's
yeah,
just amazing.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
think when that part of the workshop happens, the part that always gets me is when someone, maybe I'll just kind of give an example. So the person who is receiving the energy will say, I felt like it went more on the left, or they'll say where they felt the energy, but then the people running it will also say, well, I felt like I needed to run it more on the left, or the energy wanted to go on the left. And when those two stories match up, which they often do, seeing their faces light up, that they
Yeah,
both had the exact same experience and they don't even know where they are in the world because it's most times over Zoom, is just incredible because it's like not only do they feel, but like it's like they know or they remember. There's just this feeling, and that's incredible.
it is. It is. And it makes me smile to think of Richard Gordon doing this in front of groups of people who are scientific and doubt in the reality of this. And but when it comes to those hips,
Hmm.
we can show even someone who's really opposed to the idea, we can demonstrate for them
Yeah.
visibly what can happen.
Yeah. And then
Exciting.
also when we go up into occipital
Occipital
ridge
ridge.
and placing the energy there, because I don't know how you teach it, but I have the students run it into themselves. And you just see them just melt. And then
Oh,
it's almost like a time warp because we only do it for maybe 20 seconds tops, but what they experience and what they say they experience, you would think would have been a greater amount of time. So it's incredible how many shifts can happen just by running energy into that space and what they experience from it. Yeah.
yes, that's right. And the occipital ridge is very exciting also. You can see people
Yeah.
involuntarily moving, and sometimes a shoulder will drop, and the whole structure of the person will change.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Yeah, it's great having. Because people then think, oh, well, that's great. You can shift bones. And it's like, well, it's not just about shifting bones. It's just about seeing that visible representation, but then knowing there's so much more happening. And the body's going to use the energy for what it needs. And it could go anywhere because we often have times when people are running energy into the hips and then the person's feeling it in their chest or in their foot or in their ear or somewhere else. And that's always an interesting connection then that students make because yes, we can intend to send the energy to the hips, but maybe it's meant to go somewhere else. And the body is always going to bring that energy where it needs, and it's going to know greater than our intention for the person.
And that's something I love so much about quantum touch is that we're continually remembering that it's not us who make the changes, but
Yeah,
the person's internal body and relation and connection to the vast
yeah,
universe. And that mystery is always still there. It's very humbling because
yeah,
we're just channels, we're just
yeah,
conduits for the energy, and we're not doing this stuff. Is the humbling part is beautiful
yeah.
spiritually.
Well, and
Yeah.
maybe you can speak to this because it's a very humbling experience. And I don't know if you had this experience, but I came into Quantum Touch learning it and like, oh my gosh, I can help so many people. I can help them and I can help them. And it's like, then I have this idea for them, right? Of what I think is for their greatest and highest good. And it's quite humbling when that's not, right? And then you okay, accept that they're going to use it when it's right for them. So, how do you approach students who want to learn quantum touch to heal a loved one?
I will generally tell them that they will need to be patient and work continuously, and to also bring in other healers because when it comes to working on a loved one, the closer that they are to you, like if it's your husband,
Mhm,
I don't have children, so it could be true also when you have
mhm,
children. Um, you can have you have a complex relationship with that person,
mhm,
and it's beautiful and loving, and it's also irritating and angry making.
mhm,
So because it's complex, it's more difficult to work on your most loved ones. So
mhm,
what I recommend to people is work on them, be patient, and
mhm,
bring in another healer also
mhm,
to work on them.
mhm,
Bring in one of your
mhm,
colleagues to work on you
mhm,
because we're always doing trades, so it's easy to
mhm.
do that. Did you
Yeah.
find the same thing?
Well, so two things. I really learned about letting go of attachment to the outcome. right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
I could have a vision of what healing meant, but there's that humbling realization that that is from my perspective, right? So really letting go of the attachment to the outcome and really just leaning on what is for their greatest and highest good. And maybe I can't even conceive or comprehend that, but I can trust, right? That it's for their greatest and highest good. So that really taught me to let go of attachment to the outcome. And then also that the relationship is a mirror. Because oftentimes what I'm saying they need to heal is actually what I need to become aware of, right? And they're showing that to me. So it's humbling on both of those respects. I often share that with students and sending energy to kids is really interesting because kids are definitely a mirror for us. And whenever something's happening with my kids and I need to run energy to them, often it mirrors something that's emotionally coming up for me when I was their age, or they're showing me basically to let go of attachment to the outcome. So I find oftentimes when I'm running energy to them because they're physically having some sort of concern, I'm noticing that there is the attachments on my end, which
Yes.
can get hard to explain if someone doesn't quite, if someone hasn't experienced that. But oftentimes, then when I can regulate myself and run the energy and how do I want to say, be present with what's coming up for me, oftentimes then it shifts for my child.
Yes, that's right. And letting go of the outcome is one of the things that we learn as we go along.
Yeah.
Our teachers can tell us that, but until we really experience it, we have to have sessions where we wonder, gosh, did I give enough energy there? Was I alert enough? Was I focused enough? And after a while, you stop asking that.
Yeah,
You just know that you gave your best, and that best is so valuable. That
absolutely.
best that you gave is so valuable to the receiver, and they will
Yeah.
use it in some way, and we
Yeah.
trust the outcome. So there, you're right. There's a great peace in knowing that we just give our best and then allow
Yeah.
the universe to take over.
Yeah, absolutely. And then and even just knowing that being present is enough, right? That I don't know if you experience this, but sometimes we have students come into the level one workshop and they want to take the level one workshop because they want to take level four or because they want to take one of the more advanced ones, right? So they're just doing level one to kind of get it out of the way, check the box so that they can go for the more advanced. And I keep reminding them, like, there is so much beauty in the simplicity of level one. It's not just a prerequisite. It is that stepping into beingness, into experiencing, into starting those shifts. I mean, to use the phrase, even level one is just as powerful, right? But it's just really trusting that it really is this simple. And you really can do incredible work and experience incredible results with just level one.
And I share with students that in my own practice, I always start with level one when I'm
Yeah.
starting a session on someone. It's automatic for me.
Yeah.
It's a way, as you were saying, to get into presence, to
Yeah.
get that rhythm going, and to get grounded no matter what's been going on out there, get
Yeah.
focused.
Yeah.
And so it's a lead in. And then, of course, level one is invaluable for a moment when there's an emergency, right?
Yeah.
Twist your
Yeah.
ankle or something, and
And the advanced workshops, I mean, they're beautiful and they definitely do expand on it.
and I like to use that over radio for people in terms of their anxiety, just having them running the energy and putting it on their solar plexus, and just
Yeah.
doing this, breathing steadily and understanding this idea of making themselves almost like a grandfather clock so
Right.
that their own self can relate to that rhythm. People just calm right down.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's amazing. And of course, we can use it at night when we're trying to sleep also to
Yeah.
run energy, to
Yeah.
relax.
Yeah. Resonance. It's so powerful to be in the energy of that resonance, that higher vibration. And I think it's so beautiful that we can use that with quantum touch and then we can use that with other modalities as well. Because there was a time when I still worked in ultrasound. and I learned quantum touch. And then I became aware that my patients would come in and they would just be very anxious, right? Because it would be a woman going for an ultrasound. And oftentimes, if you're a woman going for an ultrasound, there's a reason and there's an outcome that you either do or do not want. And there's anxiety in that. And first of all, I became aware of the feeling and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to run the energy to calm myself down because I'm getting really anxious because I'm feeling that. And then I'm like, oh, I'm feeling that because the patient's feeling that. So I can run the energy to myself and the patient, and we can just have a calm time together. And then I started noticing my patient's just calming down. And then I was like, oh, I can do this alongside what I'm already doing. So I would be performing the ultrasound while simultaneously running the energy. And it was incredible because you could see the women respond, whether they realized it or not. They would, soften on the bed, or they would start chatting, or they would just fall asleep, or maybe they would start crying, or there was just, you could feel that the energy had shifted. And I thought that was really cool.
That is
Yeah.
so cool. And it reminds me too of how quantum touch combines with all kinds of other healing approaches and modalities and activities. And that's a
Yeah.
remarkable aspect of it too.
Yeah, I found and I just find there's so many little things like that that I'm using it for.
Yes, it's a way of living, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a total way of living. It's like being on a spiritual path
Yeah.
becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And quantum touch, being aware of energy and the power of love. And we always talked about the power of love, but we really get to see it in
Yeah, and you
action.
shared that with me. I'll quote you on here. When you teach quantum touch energy healing, you are also teaching the universal logos, which is the power of love. As energy workers, we get to see in action the power of love to transform people and other life forms towards happiness and well-being to help them reduce suffering and truly feel better. Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was a teacher of other subjects. I taught cultural anthropology, I taught English as a second language. And when I was studying quantum touch, I thought, oh my gosh, I might get the chance to teach the logos. I mean, you do anyway as a teacher because when you teach any subject, you have a chance to be kind and to be loving to your
Yeah.
students. So you always have an opportunity to teach the logos. But
Yeah.
there's nothing quite like energy work, energy healing to
Yeah.
bring in this topic of
Can
love.
you expand
Yeah.
on what you mean by logos and what your connection with that was prior to quantum touch?
hmm Yes, I've been reading spiritual texts ever since I was, I guess, maybe in my 20s.
Mm,
I was raised Christian in a Buddhist country because I grew up in
mm,
Thailand. So I've always been very aware of spirituality. Kind of took off on the Buddhist path as far as meditation goes, but I've read a lot. And so for me, the logos it's the truth, it's the universal truth.
mm,
It's this reality and truth beyond what we argue, beyond what we, espouse.
mm,
It's
mhm,
the big driving, wonderful force in the universe is love. So
mhm,
the great spiritual teachers all taught about love.
mhm,
And I think we're so privileged as quantum
mhm,
touch teachers to get to teach about
mhm,
love. When we ask people to conjure up in your heart and mind some creature or person, or in some cases even music. I had one student who couldn't really get to the love thing, but when we said, hey, how about music, he said, oh yeah, I can think of music that I love.
mm,
When we think of something that we love, boy, do we increase our vibration.
mhm.
So we're privileged to get to teach the
Yeah,
logo in the
yeah.
way that we are. We're not avatars, um, like some of the great spiritual leaders throughout time, like the Buddha and Christ
Mhm,
and many others,
mhm,
Lao Tzu, and so on. But we can teach about love, and
mhm.
that's really a marvelous thing.
Yeah, sharing that. For me, it's witnessing other people in that and their experience with receiving the energy and sharing the energy. That is really incredible.
Experience itself of
Yeah.
receiving love. Yes, you watch students giving love to each other, and then in our own world of healing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if your partner heals with you, but sometimes my husband jumps in and heals with me. So together we're working on somebody, and the love is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger in
Yeah.
the room, and it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. No, he hasn't learned the modality, but he's very, I would say, insightful and intuitive. So, like
Mhm.
if it's a child, I mean, he would use his own language. We would use the language running the energy, but absolutely you can feel that amplification when there's more than
Yeah.
one. And when it's someone you love, right? It's incredible.
I mean, my husband's the same way. He's very naturally a healer, like an old
Yeah.
soul, been around the earth plane many times. But
Yeah.
when I was studying quantum touch, he was concerned. He has this sort of wily side of him. He wanted to make sure it wasn't some kind of cult or something. So I said,
Oh.
I said, well, then you need to just take the course yourself.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
took several levels
Oh,
and
that's
really, really enjoyed it. He especially enjoyed the international aspect of it, that
yeah.
you're on Zoom and you've got people from all over. I think
Yeah.
he had somebody in Dubai in that class, and it thrilled him to be able to
Yeah.
connect like that. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's incredible because the world becomes our playground or our backyard, if you will. And when you think about it like that, I mean, even for ourselves, I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast, but I often have people in Europe or there's a woman in Australia who joins us. Somebody, yeah, I think from Dubai, somebody in the Middle East had reached out, and it's incredible because it unites us.
it does, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
unites us. Yeah, and
Yeah.
like I had somebody in Serbia, and most of the people have been in the United States, India.
Lastly, you said that another beauty of teaching quantum touch is holding this profoundly optimistic outlook in which we come to see that the universe is friendly and for us and responsive to us. Can you expand
It's
on that?
beautiful. It's beautiful. And again, so many humans are afraid and anxious, and if we can share what we're doing with them, they
Yeah.
can join in with that peaceful, happy outlook of
Yeah.
knowing this universe is friendly. We have so many elements in the universe that are rushing to us when we call those elements,
Yeah.
when we call forth love, we call forth this beneficial energy. It's right there.
Yeah.
And that gives us a feeling of security in a very deep way
Yeah.
that's profound. That we're
Yeah.
in a friendly universe.
Yeah. I feel that in synchronicities, synchronicities that involve animals or nature, where something would just happen and you're like, what are the chances that would happen? I remember one night I was putting the kids to bed, but for whatever reason, I decided that I needed to sit on the porch. So when they were all upstairs getting their jammies on, and I was going to go up, and I decided to sit on the porch. And I sit on the porch and I look up and I was like, oh, it's a full moon. That's interesting. Maybe I just needed to sit out and watch the full moon. And then a cat walks across the front of our porch. And we live out in the country. There are no stray cats around. We've never seen a stray cat on our property. And I'm just like laughing to myself because I was like, oh, okay, all is well. And then I go put the kids to bed. And then I'm just like, I can't make that up.
Yeah.
But you start to have experiences like that, and it's incredible.
Yes, it's more fun, it's more pleasant to
Yeah,
live life believing that we're surrounded by friendly forces. And of
yeah,
course, the more we believe that, the more that's really what happens.
yeah,
So, because our thoughts are creating our reality.
yeah.
So this is just great to be immersed in this kind of an outlook. And we're thinking about, well, what is quantum anyway? And it's
Mhm.
delightful to know that scientists are learning more and more, but they're just this mysterious aspect
Mhm.
that can't be totally understood. There's this mystical
Mhm.
aspect that that is very playful, and the quantum
Hmm.
particles are spontaneous and they move quickly and they can't be predicted,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
I think is lovely.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was so great to meet you.
So great